Oh, talking about America, Keith, because it's after show, maybe you can translate me some Gangsta Star lyrics.
We're still recording.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Just say.
Yeah. Okay, now listen closely. Never fall victim to a chicken you was sticking, even if you think the punani might be finger licking. So I want to ask you, as a fellow Boston, why Boston is so famous for its punanis? Is it a big cuisine because it's finger licking?
Really? You wanted a punani as a pussy?
Oh, it's not a panini? Okay.
No, it's not. He's got to go to a restaurant in Boston and say, "Give me your finest punani."
Ladies and gentlemen, good luck for it. Europe Podcast.
What's up, guys?
What kind of asshole was that?
Everybody fell asleep. What a fucking week. I've been super crazy busy. I had this great idea the last few years when I do the knife shows that I just borrow these tables from friends of mine. I borrow the beer tables, the big ones, the 2 meters and 20 by 70 wide. And I know a few people that have one, so I borrow them from 5 people, and I thought it would be great to have my own and save myself the time of fucking driving around and picking up tables and bringing them all back. I just build my own. So my shop is full with 6 tables with staining the tables, getting them to dry, putting clear coats on them. It's driving me fucking nuts. It took way longer than I thought it was going to be, and I got shit I need to cut, and I can't cut because all the dust will stick to the tables, and it's fucking driving me crazy. And Baltic Blades won't leave me alone with fucking trying to blow up the podcast advertisements.
I'm selling out,
man. No, just crazy busy trying to keep up with all that shit. And we got the charity stuff going on with the charity knife, and had a couple of knife makers that agreed to be part of it that backed out in the last minute. They finally replied to you, and they already said yes, they would do it. And then they're so what do I have to do? And what you have to do is read the email that we sent you. It tells you exactly what you need to do. So we had a couple people back out, have to find replacements, but we got a couple of
names.
Good replacements.
Name them.
You want to name?
Yeah.
Scumbags. Name them.
We got Jeff Fada. It's gonna join the group.
Ah, nice.
Oh.
And I'll tell you one of our backups. So this is our backup. It's not even the guy that's part of the group, but he's online waiting to get in if somebody else drops out. It's Gabe Fletcher. So if Gabe Fletcher is a backup, then we got a pretty good lineup this year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
And
Who backed out? Yeah.
Yeah, that's not important. Come on.
It is.
I'm not going to say that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they backed out because they were scumbags. I'm just going to say that every single fucking knife maker is exactly the same. Even Albert didn't even read the email. He just said yes, and he had no clue about anything or when the timeline was. So that's what the problem is, that people don't read.
I can explain that.
That's a common knife maker trait.
No. I had the podcast, and it felt so relatable. So I read the email, and I thought, oh, September, that's a long time. I don't need to bother with that right now, so I forgot the date. And Albert surely did the same thing.
No.
But he even said he didn't read it. He didn't read it at all.
Yeah, fine. But Andy did read it.
Yeah,
I'm
Andy
sure.
read the email.
Yeah,
I
see?
didn't even read the email. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the thing. So that's my thing. I know that, right? So I'll wait a little while, and then I'll send another email out. Hey, okay, everybody, did you get the email? And then all of a sudden, silence. The people that all talked to you and agreed beforehand, you don't hear a word from them back. And then I'm okay, so maybe they don't have time, or maybe they do. Because I know when you read that and you're September, I'll just wait till a week before September 1st and start making the knife. So I just want to check in and make sure all these people know, and then you get no return from them. Nothing.
All right, then let's make it official. I didn't read the email, but we're still in, okay? And we're going to deliver. So don't
I know
worry.
you're in. And Andy's going to take care of it. I know.
Oh, perfect. Did I get you right? Beer tables? You're building beer tables yourself?
Well, I call them, yeah. I mean, I bought the regular legs that would be on a beer table, the folding ones and shit.
And you still bother with the wood?
Why?
Yeah, of course I
Yeah,
do.
why?
You want because the size table that I buy is like 250 euros with the bench, and I don't need the benches.
Yeah.
So it costs. I have 6 of them, right? So it would be like 1,500 euros for those 6
You can-
tables, and I spent 500 to build it.
Yeah, but then why buy them new? There is like shitloads of these tables.
No, there
around.
isn't. No, there
Of course
isn't.
there is.
No.
No, I've looked it up recently because I sold a unit, and they are not like super common. And
You can't find a 220 by 70. You can't find them anywhere. And if
Hang
you do,
on.
you have to. It's like $250.
yeah,
for a new one.
But you can buy just the table as well. Depends on the source, but you don't have to buy the benches. And I mean, now tell me how many hours you spent. I mean, that's way
Yeah,
more
that's the problem.
expensive.
That's the problem. Yeah. So like now I'm at the point where I would have rather spent the $1,500.
Next time, ask
And
me.
you,
I'll
and you
tell
also, so you guys are both in the city. So Albert's gonna come back and be like, "Oh, I'm in Salzburg, and like 6 of my neighbors have the table. I don't have any fucking neighbors. And there's nobody around me selling beer tables, but I'm sure you have them in the middle of Salzburg." So go ahead, Albert. What'd you find?
I just found so many, Keith.
Yeah, there is
Unbelievable.
0 next to me. Now
No,
put in my zip code and then tell me how many you find.
How far away is Perg from you? It's like
Perg?
50. Perg,
That's in
50
Australia.
kilometers. No, Perg. Perg in Upper Austria.
That's too far for me.
That's like half an hour drive from your place.
No, it's not.
Kirchberg Tenning, Upper Austria. There's so many in Upper Austria, Keith.
Yeah. 220
Okay,
by
Keith
70.
was just looking for an excuse to build them himself.
And you know how much they are? They want to have 25 euros for these tables.
I'll take them all.
Where did you find the feed for the tables? I mean,
On Amazon. Where else?
really? I wouldn't have guessed that they are available separately, because
they're
yeah, those
actually
fucking
pretty cheap.
tables are so cheap as a whole. So
I'll edit this shit out.
No, I won't.
No, really. I've been looking for, like, every time I wait till like the last second till shows are coming up looking for tables, and then I can never find anything. And if you find them, they're for rent, or it's like $200 shipping to get them to your house for a table. So it's like double the price.
which show are you attending where you have to bring your own tables?
Every table that I have a booth. So the only one that I'm not attending this year is Blade Show that we're going to, but every other one I have a booth at.
Didn't know that.
And you have to bring your own shit when you have a booth.
Brr. With Huber as well? Knife Show Austria?
Yeah. Well, with Huber is another reason why I even started building a table, because his dimensions of his booths are kind of crazy. So the tables don't exist. It's 2 meters wide by 5 meters long, and there's like no combination I can fit into there. So I made my regular table is 220 centimeters long, and then 2 tables with 130 centimeters, so I could like make the 2 meter width.
Yeah.
It's a crazy combination.
Interesting. Did you do anything in regards to work as well, or just play around?
What do you mean work? That was work.
Yeah. Okay. Question answered.
No, I did. I got like I don't know what you call this thing. It's like a
Say a German name and Paulius has to drink.
Let's go.
I don't even know what the German name is. Get them out.
Say it.
It's like this gate that you set up. It stands up like a picture frame, but it's tall, and you can like put hooks on it and move the hooks up and down and wherever you want them to be. So I can put like
for
all
tools.
my. Well, I'm not hanging you up on it, but I'm hanging some products here and there. I got like my knife protectors and different screw sizes and the Kydex shit, and I wanted to just like maximize my table space at the booths. So I bought these racks. So I could put them together, try to figure that all out.
Yeah, makes sense. I can imagine that looking nice. Will you be able to look over it, or will it just be a huge wall and nobody will see you then?
Well, at least that Hubis, I won't have a wall because it's 2 meters wide. So I'm just gonna be right in the middle of my display.
Okay.
You can't really sit behind it.
Nice. Yeah. So.
But before we move on to the next guy's week, I wanted to first say Albert's editing on the last episode was awesome with that little mishap that we had, and to thank Quirklat for having a sense of humor and not taking it to heart. I think it was really, really funny, and everybody pees. It happened, but it made some great radio, right?
Not everybody flushes, though.
Not everybody. I mean, he didn't want to ruin the podcast completely. That would have been too loud.
Imagine if it wouldn't have been a piss. I mean,
well, yeah, I was waiting for that. If you pushed a little too hard,
but it sounded so good that I thought. I mean, I'm listening to it with in-ear headphones, but it sounded fake, and I thought that can't be real. And then it was really great. Great editing, Albert.
I'll put some filters on it and make it sound super sharp.
No,
that was live.
It was live, yeah.
In the kitchen sink.
Yeah, I was wondering. Like, he didn't go very far. So was he recording in the bathtub or
maybe in a bucket?
Yeah.
That would explain the no flush.
Yeah.
Perfect. Pissing into a bottle.
So stupid.
That's it. Probably we just lost a sponsor that we were working on, I think.
Yeah, I think not. It's gone. Nah, I will get. I should get more. I will try. Somebody has to do some work apart from editing on this podcast.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know if anybody picked that up, but Kamon's joined us on this podcast episode.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Who's that?
It's like his second home here now.
I'm talking to you guys more than I talk to my wife, so. That will be a problem later on.
She's not going to listen to it anyway, don't worry.
Oh, she's hearing me.
So what's everybody else's week looking like? Anybody got anything going on? Or did anything exciting?
I want to hear Albert. He rarely talks.
No, but we didn't do much. Just building knives, fucking up mosaic Damascus billets. That's what we did last week.
Fucking up in what way?
One broke during heat treatment today.
Okay. Do you know why?
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, there must have been a crack somewhere. And it just broke. We had to do a shim temper because we had a slight warp in it.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't know, but it was kind of frustrating.
Yeah, always is. Which steels?
15 and 20 and 02. So our standard Damascus combination. We don't know exactly what happened. What is even more frustrating is that the deadline is, I think, next Tuesday, and we have a knife making class that starts tomorrow. So yeah.
They specifically wanted a mosaic.
Yeah, this one.
Well, I got some from you. I can send them back to you if you need something.
You still have some, really?
Yeah. What do you need?
Sell it with a margin.
Yeah,
exactly. 30%, right?
I thought it's gone already.
What do you need? I always got stuff hidden.
What's the width of the billet?
Depends on what you need.
Oh my god! How he acts mysterious.
Yeah, I don't get that. What do you have?
I don't have them in my pocket. Tell me what you need, and then I'll measure. And if I got it, I'll let you know.
Okay. I'll send you the measurements later, but I think it has to be like 70 millimeters wide and at least 40 centimeters long, or maybe even longer than that.
So you're making a cleaver?
No, it's not a cleaver, but it's a very tall chef knife. Okay. You know what knife that is, Keith.
Yeah, but the listeners don't know. Keep it interesting.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to tell them, but...
Hey, what's happening?
I don't even know.
Yeah, it's a very large chef knife.
So she said.
Yeah. Really? Well. She calls it chef knife.
Yeah.
That's a weird nickname, but yeah.
Yeah, well, gotta keep it fresh.
Yeah. How did the crack develop again?
I have no idea.
No. But where and at what stage?
It must have happened, I think, during forging or during the shim temper. I don't know. Yeah. It's a full tang knife, right? So when we make full tang knives, we drill holes for weight reduction into the tang, and there's very little material in the front of the handle because that's where the tang is the thinnest, right? Yeah. So, and that's exactly where it broke. So the crack went through both holes we drilled. So we might have created a weak spot, but yeah. It never happened to us before.
Those are the things that are most frustrating. If you do something where you expect something to happen, like a shim temper or a straightening hammer, and you expect it to break, then you at least know what happened. But those accidents that happen and you have no explanation for them are the worst.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is that the grain structure is perfect, but it has a slight discoloration, so it's darker where it broke, right?
But that usually speaks either for oxidation, so it happened before heat treatment, or for oil during the quench. But I've never had a dark spot in a crack when the crack developed, after the heat treatment, because then the material usually is always bright, in my experience.
Yeah, I mean the crack might have happened during forging, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
It broke. I mean, that's what happened. It broke during the heat treatment.
Yeah.
But since there is a slight discoloration, the crack might have been there before, but it might have not been visible.
Yeah.
At least not to us. Yeah, at this stage.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So that was frustrating because Mosaic Damascus, I mean, it's so much work. And at this stage, I mean, usually these things don't happen, right? That the blade cracks during heat treatment. It's a very rare occasion.
Luckily.
Luckily, but even worse if it happens with a Mosaic. Right?
Yeah, totally. Those are usually the days where I go to sleep early. It's so frustrating.
Yeah. I mean, we built a backup and I was outside taking a break and Andy took the blade out of the tempering oven and I just heard him scream, "Fuck." I said, "What's up?" And he said, "Mosaic Damascus -1."
Dramatic.
So you still have the backup then tomorrow. That might work out.
Yeah, but there's also something wrong with the backup. I don't want to get into this. Let's hear a more positive story. Maybe someone has a more positive story from last week.
Paulius, surely.
What I did last week. Today I ate a lasagna from Lidl. That was good. Something positive. But yeah, it was mostly production work. It feels like a blur, when you are working so much, because I'm trying to prepare for Knife Show Austria. That will happen in May 10th, 11th, if you don't remember. And I was finishing up a batch of 30-something Kydex sheaths, and I am working on a batch of a little bit more than 200 knives now. So yeah, they will be in stock, and also some stock to bring to Knife Show Austria. Made some good progress, and while I was working on that, I got some it feels like my customers are waking up after the sleep of New Year's and they're like, "Hey, can you get me this knife in 1 day? 1 day and a half, maybe. I need 2 knives." So trying to expedite some orders that I could finish up quickly. And I'm still finishing up some left orders from my Iltis EDC knife that dropped in the start of the month. So just a few need to go out, just two. So they will go out tomorrow, which is pretty exciting. And also and I want to recommend a book for our listeners, because I was listening to another podcast. I know, heresy.
Don't act smart now.
Yeah. And they recommended this in the passing only. a pumpkin plan is a plan for pumpkins. It's amazing, actually. It's pretty. Yeah, pumpkin plan, like the vegetable plan, Okay. And it's really great business book. Super fun to listen, because I listen to audiobooks, and it has some really great ideas how, if you have a business that you have started, how to bring it to the next level. So really good insights that I have also read in other books, so they must be true. So highly recommend that.
That's awesome. That's really interesting. Tell us a little bit more about that lasagna I had.
About the lasagna. Well, at the start of the podcast, I said I did not drink beer because it makes me gassy, barfy, So now the lasagna is making me barf, so I have to mute myself constantly. But it was pretty good. It was pretty good, if you want to hear it, actually. It's not really delicious, but the cheese skin
Shut
that
the fuck up,
develops on
Paulius.
top...
I have an actual question.
I was only fucking with you.
Do you know why your customers picked up? I mean, did you do anything, any post or on Instagram or anything that you know?
They joined the podcast, I think.
Look, it's not only we three are very good looking. Now we are also super famous just because of the podcast. And I'm also working on a sponsorship deals for this podcast so we can be rich. So, you can't have everything. But to answer it, without joking, it's just because of the times. It's just seasonality, it is always picking up, and the highest point, as far as I have seen, is end of May and start of June, and after that is pretty much still until October.
July, August. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
October is Christmas business for you, or what is that?
I never really experienced a lot of Christmas business, but looking at the numbers that I got, it feels like like looking at my, again, boring shit, but it's business. Looking at my clientele, and it's mostly men, and it's mostly men that are a little bit older. So I guess they have kids and shit like that. So September is a no-no. Because you have to let your kids go to school, so funds are tight and not easily spending stuff. And October it picks up a little bit, but then when the December is coming through November, it feels like it's again a little bit settling down until the second week of December. When it's starting to pick up again, people are like, "Oh shit, I need something to to do a gift or whatever."
Yeah.
And after that, it's still little to no sales until January second half, I would say.
Interesting. I mean, I've heard from other makers that January typically is weak in sales, so I guess it makes sense.
January is like always my best year for sales.
That's
month. It's like my best month of the entire year.
But how?
But your business is different, You are dealing with other.
But that means, so maybe people are buying material because they know they're going to be home for like the Christmas vacation time or whatever.
Yeah, but in January it's too late for Christmas vacation time.
Yeah, a little bit. Maybe they got some gifts.
There's always one fucking smart ass in the group, right?
Yeah, that's why we invite him, because all of us are dumb.
Wait, who are we talking about right now?
What?
Oh.
Albert will have so much editing to do, in this show. So Benjamin, how was your week? Please do tell.
Yeah, mainly shop maintenance. I bought a new eccentric press, so for my Maker's Mark engraving or punching, or however you would put it. I had a big one before that I originally bought with the idea of forge welding steels together. That didn't work, so I bought a new smaller one, and the big one now moves to Hangler. And so I had to set that up. You have to measure the stroke, so the stamps don't hit together, and at the same time they hit the right distance for the blades to be stamped, right?
I mean, you stamp on both sides at the same time. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I did it by hand before, but sometimes, when you're punching with a 2 kilogram hammer and holding the Maker's Mark at the same time, sometimes funny things happen, and then the position is off, or you don't hit it right, and then the Maker's Mark doesn't sit as deep, and there are no second tries on that. Either you get it right at the first time or not. So I did that, and I did a little rearrangement in my shop since I got the big hydraulic screw press, and I had to try to find a place for a room for the hydraulic unit for that machine. So essentially the motor, you could say, that is separate, and I'm running out of space slowly, so I had to rearrange a few things. I did that. And then I've also finished 3 handles, because 2 customers, one with 2 knives and one with 1 knife, wanted they wanted new handles for the knives, so I did that. Yeah.
So they are interchangeable.
They always have been interchangeable, but I have to fit the handle to the blade. So you can't just fit one handle from one knife onto the other, or from one blade onto the other blade. But if I make,
means.
I mean, if I make three, if I make 3 handles for one blade, they're still interchangeable, right? Smartest. Yeah. Come on.
Do you have customers buying a kitchen knife and then 2 extra handles?
2 extra handles happened as well, but that's super rare. But occasionally they will order 2 handles right away for one knife.
Yeah.
They are interchangeable. You would say that,
Yeah, I've said it.
Yeah.
But just for one blade.
But Paulus's handles are really interchangeable for all of his blades.
Yeah, but I mean,
for the same model.
We all know he just presses a button. He's one of those cheap CNC guys.
Yeah. Yes. It's so simple, guys. You just buy a CNC and you just press a button and boop.
It's like
comes out the part.
I feel like I pushed your button right now.
Hey, whoa. At least buy me a drink, man.
This new screw press you got, is it operational? Everything's working now? Or?
No. The first thing I probably have to do is buy new hydraulic lines, because the ones that were with the machine are partly like a how is it called? The hose, or rubber bendable. How do you say it?
Yeah, hose.
Yeah, hydraulic hose. And then another part of it is a steel line. So that was made for their positioning, their fitting, and it doesn't fit with
the right lengths and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And so I need to get that first, and then I have to do the electrical stuff. And yeah, I'm kind of scared about that. We talked about it because electrical stuff was always my weak spot. But I recently, for my rearranging in the shop, I mounted new how are they called, where you put the electrical plug in onto the wall.
An outlet?
The outlet. I mounted new outlets and did some wiring and stuff. was adventurous, but it works. So I guess I did it all right.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's a screw press, right, Ben? Why does it need a hydraulic unit? What does it need a hydraulic unit for?
I mean, normally they are friction screw presses. That's what you normally see. Then there are types where the electrical motor is more or less directly attached to the screw. And this one, instead of the screw itself being the part that moves the ram, there are two hydraulic cylinders that will move the ram down and therefore accelerate the screw. And what then applies the force on the workpiece is the inertia, the kinetic energy of the screw itself. But the hydraulic cylinders start moving all that. So they are super low diameter, so they don't have a lot of force, but they don't need to because they have to have a lot of speed, essentially, and they will start moving that, and the inertia then will hit the workpiece.
So you have like a big counterweight bounce like a fly press would have, but the hydraulic press gets it moving.
Yeah, there is on the top part where also there are hydraulic brakes to stop it from moving. There is a big weight that rotates with the screw, and all that gets into kinetic energy or gets moving and very interesting design. And the company where I have the press from is they are the only ones who built that kind of design. I talked to the manufacturer and he said those presses are kind of indestructible. The only thing you have to watch out for is there is a lubrication system for the screw itself that is, it has a small motor and it pumps oil onto the screw and vital parts. He said just make sure that runs. Everything else is merely indestructible, similar to a power hammer. You only have to look that it's lubricated well, and everything after that is kind of, I wouldn't say irrelevant, but you would be an artist if you ruined anything after that.
Trust me, there's plenty of artists out there.
Yeah, okay. Taking that
a lot of shit can break on a power hammer.
What was that screw press design? What was that actually originally designed for? What were they doing with it?
It is for forging. It is a screw press for forging. You can use it. Similar designs. There are variations, so it depends on the speed of the ram. So some will move super slow, like a hydraulic press almost, but have super high force. This one will actually move faster. I have a video I can link to you guys afterwards, but it's impressive how fast this thing moves. And it is made for forging, drop forging, or when they make coins, they use that, or similar presses for that, things like that.
How much pressure does it generate?
160 tons.
Oh, fuck.
Whoa.
Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah.
Nice.
So are you going to make a special run of coins?
I thought
Challenge
about that.
coins? Yeah.
I mean, it would be nice. I've got from Joshua Prince, he sent me, during our collabs, he sent me 2 of his coins. He stamps them by hand, super nice, out of nickels or sand pieces. I don't know what it is. Super cool. And, they are just so fidgety. I don't know.
Yeah.
Super deep engraving.
I got one from Trollsky, but I think it was lasered, and it's pretty cool. It says, "Get to the grinder instead of the chopper."
Yeah. Laser engraving works too. I've seen Bob Terzola made some recently, but they are no comparison to a metal that deformed into a cavity, a round cavity. It just yeah. So Joshua Prince is top notch.
Would you be able to use it to drop forge full shape of the knife, even with the bevels, with appropriate dies?
I don't know the force that would be recommended or required for that. I know companies who do that, they have really big machinery, and some of them have like drop forging hammers, I think they're called. So I don't know. Possibly. I think it's an option, but I don't know for sure if it can
press a button and a blade comes out.
Nice.
So, did you just buy it because you thought it was a really cool, unusual tool, or did you have a specific thing in mind that you were going to make with it when you saw it?
I wanted one similar to that, but smaller, for forge welding for a long time, because my 40 kilogram hammer is just too small for that. It works, but if you talk about efficiency and process security and all that, or how would you say it, process safety, or it doesn't work very well with the 40 kilogram hammer. And then I see those machines have a big advantage compared to hydraulic presses, as they move very quickly, so they won't draw a lot of heat out of your steel that you will have to forge, because the problems that can occur in theory are with hydraulic presses, that they will, for example, draw the heat out of your cladding, and then the core material will have a way higher heat than the cladding, and that's a problem, obviously. So I wanted, and that machine was available. It was cheap, and that's why I bought it. But it is too big for me if you look at it rationally. But I couldn't pass up the opportunity. And the guy I bought it from a school. It was used in a school, in a school for apprentices. I don't know. Yeah. And the director of the schools told me that this was the last time he would put it onto the platform for sale. After that, it would have been wrecked or
scrapped.
Yeah, scrapped.
So you got a good deal on it.
Yeah. 1,000 euros I paid, and delivery was like 2,000, so about 3 to 3. Yeah, a little over 3,000, I think.
Sounds super cheap.
Mm-hmm. Especially for what it is, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, they move, as you said, super fast. They're perfect for forge welding, and if you compare that to a 160-ton hydraulic press, I mean, they're way more expensive, right? If you want to buy one of these, it's at least 10 to 15 grand, if not more.
Totally, and I think they have even more upsides to the hydraulic press, so you can adjust the power. So they can work really with a low power as well, and things like that. You can with this one, with the hydraulic one, with the screw press not, I think, typically, but with the hydraulic one you can even adjust the stroke. So there are electrical units where you can adjust the stroke height and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the screw press. Yeah, the stop points. I mean, with our screw press you can, because our screw press has brakes on it.
Okay.
And the brakes work with pressure there, and there you can adjust the treble the ram makes, right?
Okay. That's nice.
Yeah.
Which brand is yours of? Is it the same brand eventually? Even?
I think it's a Weingarten.
Yeah, I know that one. Those are nice too.
Mm-hmm.
How big is it?
I mean, it's not that big. And it's 80 tons of pressure.
Yeah,
max.
That would have been
that's plenty.
Yeah, that would have been what I was looking for originally, because it would have taken a little less space, and yeah. But I mean, who would complain?
So, but you'll basically be using it to set the initial welds.
Yeah, that's the plan.
On to the power hammer.
Yeah, and I mean, if I have something bigger to forge, I will use it for that as well. I thought about making some very high radius half round dies to planish my blades, maybe, because with the super high radius, so almost flat dies. I imagine that I could make those surfaces of those forged blades super nice, planish them in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe. I have it now, and I have one use case for it, but we will see what the future brings.
Then you can take your like sanmais, especially like a stainless sanmai, after you get it out of the heat treat oven, and clamp it down, keep everything straight easily.
For that, I don't know if it would be a good idea.
Oh, you don't have to press it with 80 tons, but you can adjust the amount of pressure on it, right?
Theoretically, but I think it only works with inertia, so it wouldn't apply a constant pressure on the piece.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah. I will find some shit to do with it for sure. Yeah.
I mean, a press makes for much more consistent forge welds, right? At least has been our experience when we're forge welding, even under the 100 kilo power hammer. We from time to time have to deal with D-lamps, but since we used the press for forge welding, so we didn't have any D-lamps. So
yeah, I mean, for one, that is exactly what Hangler told me. So he said those shock forces of a power hammer are not the best thing you can do in forge welding.
Yeah.
And then there is Marco Guldiman, who forge welds with his, I think, 70-ton screw press at, I mean, we're talking carbon steels, but still at around 850 degrees Celsius. So that's super impressive. And yeah, again, Guldiman is one of my inspirations for that. Because I've seen it with him first. He does that since years. Super impressive in those regards, I think. I don't know anyone who forge welds at such low temperatures successfully all the time. So, yeah. Makes for great quality, I think.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of having such a low temperature?
So, generally speaking, you want to forge at the lowest temperature possible, because every temperature or every increase in temperature will grow your grain in combination with time, always. Mm-hmm. But if you start, and then the grain gets reduced by deforming the piece, so forging it. So you can compensate. If you have a big industrial part and it gets forged down heavily, then the high temperature doesn't matter as much. But usually with us knife makers, we don't get the deformation rates necessary, or not often. It doesn't matter. But if you start forging or even forge welding at low temperatures, you're not even giving the material any chance to grow a bigger grain. At the same time, decarb is lower. So the only downside I could see with that is that the forge weld itself could be weaker. But I mean, that's something that experience will tell you. I mean, if your blades fail, then you've got a problem on that end. But Gulliman is in the business since probably a decade or something like that. And I think he would have adjusted his process if that was a problem. So since it's not a problem, it's beneficial to forge weld at lower temperatures, I think.
Albert?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect.
Have you tried that before? Forge welding at lower temperatures with the press, or?
No. Not at 850 degrees. That's a bit, yeah. But of course, the higher the pressure, the lower the heat can be, right? But 850 is kind of, I mean, it's risky low. Yeah.
But I have to say, I think either he forge welds in, he either welds tight or he forges with argon gas in a containment. And what he does as well is, plane surface grind the parts he forge welds together. So those are two steps that many knife makers with who don't sell at that price point. You have to be clear about that. Marco Gulliman doesn't sell cheap knives, so who sell at a lower price point, they won't go through the effort because they don't have the customer base who pays for that.
But that's exactly how we do it. We surface grind all our steel. We use in a Damascus billet, and we weld it completely shut with TIG welding. So
interesting.
That's how we do it. But still, I mean, we could give it a try. I mean, we haven't tried it.
What temperatures are you running at usually?
I mean, it depends on the steel, but above 1,000 degrees usually.
Yeah.
1,100. Apex a bit lower temperature, of course. The 15 and 20 and 02 can do a bit higher temperature, but yeah.
You basically minimize your chance of failure if you're surface grinding and everything, because it's pretty much completely flat surface stuck together already with no voids, no chance of any delamps and shit like that.
Yeah.
But I've also heard like Marco Mamasi say he just like cuts his billets, the sticker still on there from the factory that says like whatever steel he's using, and he fucking forge welds it together with the sticker still in between the layers, and he doesn't have a problem.
Yeah, but the difference is with the low alloyed steel, so I think he uses those classical American combinations of, what is it, 1095 or 1080 or something, and then what is the nickel steel?
1085.
Yeah, but what is the nickel steel in the US? Anyways, but those alloys, they are not as how do you say it, as they take a higher temperature with no problems, whereas Apex Ultra, it will crumble on you like nobody's business does.
Yeah, just crumbles like sand beneath the hammer. Yeah, Paulius fell asleep.
Yeah. I don't work with carbon steel at all. So
you don't forge either. You just press buttons.
I just press button. Knife comes out.
How much work is how do you say that? How much is physical work versus things like CAD drawing with your way of making knives? CAD drawing and all that digital stuff you have to do, program the machines and all that.
It's hard to say, because I spent a lot of time on R&D, and it's like a big upfront cost to develop a model, which is basically 3D printing, CAD and CAM, and making fixtures on the CNC just to make it. And, the handwork, even making fixtures, there is still... I still do some handwork, deburring, reaming, and etc. like that.
Yeah.
And then when you got it, and you make the knives, depending on how long you make the same model, you still have to do there are some parts where you just press a button and hopefully it comes out like it always should, but sometimes it doesn't, just because. There are still a lot of handwork, just because I don't have the capabilities I don't have a great CNC. I have a good enough CNC, so it kind of allows me to profile the laser cut blanks to remove enough steel that is decarbed after annealing, and have this consistent profile that I still need to touch up to make it nice and beautiful, and give it, the inconsistencies then when you are just surface finishing are 1/10 or 2/10 of a millimeter, which are totally acceptable. So I would say still the majority of work is still handwork, I would say.
Interesting.
Okay. The CNC helps with the consistency if we are talking about just the blade, the blade, just the blade, and the tang. I still grind the bevels, sharpen it by hand, ream some holes by hand, clean up the profile. But when we are talking about, let's say, the handle scales, the majority, then I win my time with the CNC. I can make it pretty quickly, make it very, very consistently, and I'm talking 2 2/100ths of a millimeter. And thanks to Keith's G10, which is super stable, it makes my life super easy, you know, and a little bit toxic for my lungs. But there is still some handwork, you know. You still have even the G10 from the factory. It doesn't come totally even. You have to flatten it, which is destroying my sanding paper actually on my disc grinder.
And eats it up.
You still have to ream the holes to make them perfect. You still have to add some chamfers, because chamfering on 3D surfaces, it's no, you better don't do it on such a flimsy CNC.
Now, you ream G10 holes, or are we talking the blade blanks?
Both. I ream both.
But what kind of reams do you use? Because the G10 is like sandpaper. It would wear the ream off, no?
I use carbide reamers.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even know they were a thing. Nice.
Yeah, and they are very consistent. Very consistent.
Is there a step where you could put that kind of tool into a CNC at super low RPM, or is that never happening?
100%, just not on my CNC.
Okay, I get it.
That would be fully automated, you know. You could even
like a tool changer.
Yeah, tool changer and a different spindle you would need. And yeah, the tool changer would be a force multiplier, you know.
Yeah.
Because now I have to come back sometimes every 20 minutes, sometimes every 2 minutes, just to change out the tool to do even with bigger fixtures where 4 blades are machining. You still need to do tool changes, but then you just check if the tool is measured correctly, just see it go, and then you can go and continue your work on whatever I want to work.
Okay, so I have 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
When will you get a proper CNC machine, first? And second, how do you decide when to change a tool because it's dull? Is it like you change it every 100 handles, for example, no matter what, or do you see it on the handle in the sense of finish quality? When do you decide to change a tool?
When the measurements are off.
Yeah, like you are both partially correct. I use both of your techniques. It is very clearly visible on the surface finish, because after even CNC machining, there is a lot of surface finishing, depending, like sometimes I do polished surfaces where it takes a lot of time polishing, especially my Carta, and you can see the tool wear on my Carta like the best, because it leaves the strands of the material, of the textile. It is quite fibers. It is quite more visible and have a way softer appearance. Also, I do preliminary QA checks with the hardware that I use to check if the screw still fits. If it still fits, it's fine, and the hole below, it is still getting reamed by hand to be perfect every time. And it's not like the blades themselves are coming like with this super high tolerance snappy assembly. They have a little bit of give where I can just, like, by the 10th of the millimeter, I can adjust things, shift the handle scales a little bit maybe, which allows me to be way less strict on my process here, which is beneficial,
Interesting. Nice.
And this actually allows, if I make very strict tolerances, then if I want my handles to be truly interchangeable, I need to have way more strict QA process, because if somebody buys a pair of handle scales after a year, and maybe the cutter is dull, and it just doesn't fit in one place. So making it a little bit loose, but then, the handle scales are held in with screws. So you just screw them down, add some thread locker, and you're good to go.
Screwing it and making it loose. I understand.
Yeah. And just like to say, like, my most painful point was Kydex sheets and doing them by vacuum forming.
Yeah.
It's a game changer. There is a lot of QA, but man, to finish those 30 or 20 something sheets they are super consistent, and they have all the same, snap, and you just have to finish out the edges of the kydex, and it's wonderful.
Your sheaths and your knives generally are very nice. I have one small one, and I can attest that your Saya process and the thinking behind it and all the stuff you always talk about, it makes sense and it works out. But when will you get a bigger machine? I mean, that has to be down the line a plan, right?
Yes. The biggest plan, like what I like to do, is to look what I hate to do. And now, currently, I hate the most, like from a process standpoint. What is the biggest pain point?
Shipping.
What? It's grinding bevels.
Oh, okay.
Grinding bevels, and for that there are several approaches, but I need way beefier CNC. I'm always window shopping for one, but the issue is that at my current location the ceiling is way too low, and that would require me moving to another location, and that would create a lot of overhead expenses. And I don't know. I just do not know. If I would buy it when I have big business, a lot of demand, a lot of sales, and that would be a repeating consistent business, I would definitely go with in-house.
So you can CNC like the Rebels to get them ready for grinding. Or completely
I would
CNC.
Completely. Like these would be on hardened blade blanks, completely CNC'd.
Why? I mean, you're working in big batches. I'm sure you've thought about it, but I'm interested in why it's not the case. Why don't you outsource it? Is that not an option?
It's still a small business, I cannot eat a lot of upfront cost, and I don't want. It's just the expense, because and what I've heard, like when you actually like outsource, and it can be like another Lithuanian whatever CNC shop, it is a nightmare. It is like what you save in labor, and let's say you outsource to other country where the labor is cheaper, you still spend the time in doing QA and rework, because they never do it correctly. It is never up to par, or if it is, the cost is astronomical, or you have to then order like not like not 500 pieces, but like 1,500 pieces. And that is way too much, especially for me, where one of the core tenets for me is the speed and agility and ability to change the model, to change what is a pain point for my customer. So like the knife that you have, it is now different. The sheath is way different. The blade stock is way thinner by 0.5 millimeter, and it performs like a different knife. And to do a little bit of a deep cut, I think you bought it because you like me, not that you needed it.
Yeah, I think so
too. Guilty.
Gotcha.
I bought it for my boy, and it's a very small scalpel-like knife, and it was a nice gift. So, but that I like you played a role. But don't give Keith any ammunition.
Very interesting.
Keith is now my boss. He pays my salary. So.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine like you put all that work into the blade, send them out to get the bevels CNC'd, like you said, 1,500 knives or something, and they screw something up that will set you back. That could just end your business. I mean, starting out.
That would be, and it would be so stressful. And imagine they are hardened blade blanks to do the bevel grinding, and maybe they ruin the temper. I don't know. They can fuck up my can create lots of, and like the edge thickness may be variable just because their worker on Friday was really tired and did not check every blade, and he
trying to save tools, the tolerances are out, anything.
Yeah, and also they are running a business, so they don't maybe care because I'm a small business. I don't bring in a lot of revenue for them, so they are like, sure, we do it, but who cares?
Make that tooling work for this batch before you change to the next thing.
Yeah,
get them out, right?
Exactly. And that's why I invest a lot of time and thought in creating a lot of jigs in my like bevel grinding to make it as easy as possible. Like nothing should be super adjustable. Everything should be settable. You set it and you go. You don't play around. You don't, what's the angle? How should I put in the knife or whatever? What's the plunge line, plunge angle to the handle or whatever? It's everything is by jig.
I like that.
To have it consistent.
Very methodical.
Yeah. It's actually from the Toyota lean methodology, the single minute exchange dies by Shigeo Shingo. So yeah.
I mean, it's something you can come up with yourself, but you can also credit a book for it.
But why would I try to invent something, like to invent a bicycle, to something inferior when you have something that works perfectly? It's like the Toyota spent so many millions to finding a correct methodology to solving problems. And basically they came up with the methodology called A3. And you know what A3 means?
Nope.
That you need a A3 sheet of paper to write on, to have enough space to explain the current problem. And when you can clearly explain the current problem, you have already half of it solved. And then the other half is to understand what you want very precisely, what's the end goal, how it should look like, and write it in great detail. And there are some other doodads that you write there, but it's like they invested so a lot of things to create something so simple. So why shouldn't
I mean, I'm making fun of you, but you know me.
I know.
It's like making fun of Uber. I find it pretty cool that you read those books and take that to heart and or into consideration. So I mean,
and I feel like it really works, but it is so anti-intuitive, especially when you and I talked about one-piece flow and batch work.
Yeah, that I still don't really... Either I don't understand it or I'm not with you.
Yeah, you are just not taking into account the time needed to set up a workplace for batch work. To actually upfront cost, to actually develop it into that. And yeah, but what happens?
No. Yeah. Even if I take it into account, it then happens what you do with it. Because if you don't ever change, then that's totally fine. I mean, then we are just talking besides each other,
Yeah, but the problem is that the world and life is ever changing, and every business is ever changing. So change is natural, it's normal, and it is expected. So you cannot expect you cannot expect infinite returns on your batch work.
Hey, chill out. I don't like change a lot, so come on.
But look, Benjamin, you are actually changing. Like looking at your business and hearing like you said about the press that you got. It feels like Kamon Knives is moving in the way of laminates, in-house laminates, and with laminates comes a variety of other problems and other processes that you will need to implement, right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I've done them, so yes and no. I'm not planning to throw over my complete business model in order for that, right?
Of course not.
And it's I see it more as something to play with and maybe get into if it's successful, but I don't. It's not anything big. I mean, my main business is still the same, and I'm not changing it. I would say the production knives were a bigger change than the press, even though the press was way more work in the sense that, buying it, getting it there, making it run. I didn't even do that yet, but that will be a lot of work. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty hard for me, to comment when I'm looking from the outside, but looking into my own business, and at the place where I am, like your question is when I will get the bigger machine, that would change a lot of things, how I do, make it way more efficient. And also by getting a second even machine would change a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that would make things way more efficient. And with the efficiency also comes greater output volume. And with greater output volume comes new problems, where you created like the previous shipping area is not enough, where you need to change it, where you need to, and this ever incremental change that I am talking about.
Yeah. I mean, we are getting a bit off track, I think, because the video you showed me with one piece flow was essentially, at least as I have seen it, arguing that if you package one piece of product at one time, it is quicker than packaging two and making every step double. And that is something I don't understand, because I'm thinking if you have the sticking tape in your hand already, I'm sticking 2 boxes instead of 1, and I have to be quicker because I don't need to take, the setup time is I'm saving on. So yeah, I didn't really get the argument there for why it should be quicker.
For our listeners, because they have not seen it, maybe you can go on Google on YouTube and write one piece flow, and it will show one video of a guy, I guess, packing in 2 boxes. And like in one piece flow, you pack 1 box fully, and then you go and pack another box fully, and that's it. In the batch flow, you pack them both simultaneously, where you group similar actions together, where you put in the same material, put in that and this and that, and then you finish it. And what I see is like a bigger a bigger motive here, where it is the comparison of the methodology of first in, first out, where you process something one by one, and where you process something in a fully batch. When you start the batch, it is not done until everything is done. And in my mind, the one piece flow in that example case is way superior, because in a production environment, when you do something from the very start to the very end, it allows you quickly to catch issues in your processes if something is done wrongly. And not only that, but you also have a finished product already that you can ship out, and you can ship out without waiting for the full batch to be finished.
Okay, so slow down. It depends on the case, because if you're boxing some product, no, hear me out. If you're boxing something, and I'm using, the fluffy stuff to how do you say it?
Stocking, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. And I do
peanuts.
all those concentrated, and that will be way quicker. It depends on what you do. Me working my knives in batches is way quicker than if I would make them one by one. For sure, 100%, no discussion.
I would say in that example, the table was already prepared for the batch work, because the table was enough to contain both boxes.
Yeah, but still the video makes the argument that single piece flow is quicker, right?
Yeah, they do.
They are full of shit. That's why I'm saying I didn't get the argument. But I see what you say. It depends on what you're doing, and then I can see a case where quality control, if it's super important, then one-piece flow might be beneficial for the reason you said, and there might be more reasons. But I'm just saying it depends on the process, and you can't go ahead and make a video about packing 2 boxes and tell me as the viewer that packing them one piece after another is quicker than making the same steps 2 times. What?
In a case, look, in a hypothetical case where you have an infinite amount of boxes, doing one-piece flow is way more efficient because you have finished boxes, while in the infinite batch, you are waiting until the infinity you finish all of the boxes.
No, yeah, hold on. What does mean efficient in that context? Because if I spend 1 week and then I put out 10 boxes a day, that's 70 boxes overall. But if I do it in a batch, I have in 1 week time span, I have 100 boxes, which is more efficient. I didn't ship it on Monday, but I have 100 ready to ship right after that week. So I would argue that the week where I packed 100 boxes total is more efficient than 70 packed boxes, but I shipped 10 every day. That makes no sense to me. How is that more efficient?
But like your customers will get their boxes earlier.
Fuck that.
Good customer service. And also you are missing out the case of defects, because defects happen in every process.
Yeah.
So you, again, quality assurance, by doing 1 box at a time, you catch those defects way quicker. But in your case, when you finish the batch and you do the QA, in whatever step you do, you find a defect which is prominent in all of that batch, then you have to do rework for all of that batch instead of 1 unit.
Why do you assume that I don't see the defects in batch work? I mean, I don't know why I wouldn't see
the
it.
Same thing. Why would it come to boxing time? I mean, for knife makers, when it's coming to boxing time, then you realize, oh shit, all the handles are on backwards. I have 2 left hands on all my knives.
Fuck the boxes. I'm talking like in general about manufacturing,
Yeah, but why would you assume that you in batch work you only? I mean, the mistake might be done in a whole batch. That is true. But I recognize it the second the mistake is done. So at the very step. But you're just saying I have lost than whatever I've produced in a batch scenario?
Not really lost, but you have additional work to do to fix it. Let's say you are printing shipping labels and you did not see that it's not printing correctly in one spot, and you catch it at the end. Even in the middle of the batch is still greater than one-piece flow.
Yeah, possibly. I think there are scenarios where it's more efficient, but I think it's wrong to generalize in the sense that one-piece flow is always better.
Oh no, I'm not doing that. Even I am working in batches. I said I am working on 200 knives, but these are split up in small batches, yada yada yada. But
yeah,
I feel like doing certain things in one-piece flow is
that makes total sense. But I think the video was not a great illustration. I think there would be other examples where it makes more sense, because I was looking at the video, was thinking, what is this Estonian guy talking about?
hey, yo, Lithuanian. Punching low. Fucking punching low. That's why we need that arm wrestling match at Knife Show Austria,
I'm older than you and I didn't ever work out a single day in my life, so fuck you, I'm not arm wrestling you.
Only excuses. Wait till we'll drink a little bit, and then we'll settle things.
Come on, you know that what do they call it? It's like a 1 liter beer krug, like the Steinkrug, that's really heavy that you can barely pick up. You know the thing?
Yeah, I think
that's what we need to bring. Instead of the arm wrestling.
Yeah, okay.
What's that?
It's a 1 liter. It's like a 1 liter beer glass, like a ceramic or it's like a stone beer mug, and you can barely pick it up. It's 30 kilos or something like that. And if you can pick it up and drink it, you win. And it's funny as hell, but you have to bring it out after everybody's had 5 beers. And they fucking try to pick it up to take a sip.
That would be cool, but there is a challenge like holding out your beer glass, the 1 liter, straight your arm forward, 90 degrees, and how long you can hold it. That gets tough very quickly, astonishingly quickly. It's just, I mean, a little over 1 kilo, probably 1.5. But if you hold your arm straight, it's like about a minute. Maybe some can take it 2 or something, but you will give in rather quickly.
I never heard of those. Are these like local for Austria? These drinking games?
We like our beer. What are you saying?
Maybe I should bring some Lithuanian beer for you to taste and call it. It's shit. It's nothing like Austrian beer.
You have to do that now that you said it.
Yeah.
Please?
I'm still sour.
Please?
I'm still sour about that. I did not get even 1 can of your special beer from Anchorage Forge. So I don't know, man.
Damn.
I still have.
But
I think I still have 6 of them left over here.
Fuck you. Fucking hell. I really wanted to. Is it? I guess it's not that good then.
I can introduce you to the source though.
I will introduce myself to the source.
I will tell him to not talk to you.
Well, Kamon left, but Kamon after you left, Trollsky joined, and then shit hit the fan. He's like bringing his whole entire collection of whiskeys, and he's talking about everything that he's gonna drink till he drops Friday night.
Yeah, I'm like he's a heavyweight.
Who is Trollsky?
Yeah, Trollsky.
Yeah.
He looks like he can take his liquor.
That's gonna be a little too much. I can't do that Friday before we do a 2-day show. Forget that.
That's a terrible start of a show. Being hungover.
I could just hear him from the last episode. Life's too short to be a dick.
That's the right attitude. Great life philosophy.
Is Albert still there?
Sure.
Albert, talk a little.
There's nothing to talk about. I was listening to you guys.
But what do you think?
About what?
One Piece batch flow.
Yeah.
I think it's bullshit. I think Kamon is right.
Yes.
Thanks.
Of course
Took
you
a
do.
half hour to say that.
Like in
No, don't. Albert was joking.
yeah.
No, I was being serious. but-
It's fine. I agree with Kamon. I also agree that sometimes batch work is way more efficient. Yeah. I was never arguing that.
This is the guy who does like 50 knives at a time in different stages, and he's going to tell you to do it all at once. And fight the whole episode about it.
No,
even though
but
he doesn't do that.
seriously, if you find a good video illustrating that One Piece flow, I would be interested, and maybe we can somehow attach it to this episode when we post it on Instagram, so people know what we're talking about and can look at it. No,
Maybe.
honestly, if you find because your box video just sucked.
Yeah. It was the first video that I found.
Yeah, but you didn't even check
I
it.
can link a whole fucking book to this episode.
Nobody's reading a book. They want to have a 1 minute maximum YouTube video that illustrates it. Otherwise, people won't be interested, and I won't be either.
That's even too long a minute.
Yeah, a minute is the most we can do nowadays.
You're lasting way too short.
I mean, I work on one box at a time too. I'm not a machine, but you know.
Yeah, but you forgot to mention that you only get 1 order per week. So
Yeah,
sorry.
And it's the same box.
same box for the last 20 years.
That's an achievement.
No, but you have a setup. I think there it makes sense. I've seen your shop. It looks very organized, and I don't think it makes sense to package several boxes with different materials. But if you would get 10 orders with 10 bog oak blocks each, you would package 10 boxes, right? Simultaneously.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
but since every order is different, I think One Piece flow in that sense, or in that case, makes sense.
Yeah.
Huh?
You know, it allows me for my customers to have a way bigger selection of all handle materials, kydex sheath options, and etc. So
Oh, what you do there is super super nice that you can combine it like in the last minute and then just ship it out. That's cool. I think that's a nice idea. And
thank you. But I feel like, to contradict myself, I feel like too many options confuse the clients, and it's a very fine line to walk as a business,
100%.
Yeah. Even in your case, when you do batches oftentimes, but do you do custom orders actually?
Yeah. Half of my batch usually are custom orders.
And so when clients can choose anything, and like from the material of the bolster to finish of it, to like multiple choices, to the shape of the profile of the blade, to the texturing of the blade, it's like how do you not overwhelm your custom customers? Are they very strict and nobody want, or do you have a sheet or whatever?
No, I mean what you said is definitely a thing and it's important, but I think it's more important to have a recognizable style, and you have that. I think your knives, I wouldn't say they look alike, but you see that they are from you, for example, and I think that's the case with my knives for the most part as well. And I think that's the most important part. I think if you there are certain knife makers where they vary their style knife by knife, and that's kind of the worst thing you can do if you really want to attract a customer base, because you will always attract a completely new customer in the sense of new style requirements. But I hear that often that customers tell me they are overwhelmed with the choices, in the sense that they think they want something and then I post something new and then they want that and they can't decide. So I hear that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I would change that. You can't compromise on choices either. I
think you can't compare that with the two of you, because you guys are making different like style knives. Paulus is making more batch knives, and I think in his situation that if he capitalized on that would work even more to his advantage, because you have a knife where these are kind of plug and play handle situations, and a customer can buy this knife and then decide a year later that maybe I didn't want the green handle, I wanted the orange one, and then order a set of orange scales from you and a set of stainless steel screws instead of black, and all this stuff is like plug and play interchangeable, and it's upgradable, and you like continue to have repeat business from the same customer because of their inability to make the choice at that point, but they wanted a knife right away, so they took what was available or what they thought they wanted and then changed their mind later, and they can still have the knife that they want later.
That's an advantage of his business model, but I think he said that his customers are already overwhelmed with his choices, and I wouldn't say necessarily I offer more choices, but the combination of variables, I think it results in more choices, like end caps, handle shapes, blade finishes, and all that shit. And but essentially, he's right; they are overwhelmed. But how would you change that? I mean, what would be the approach?
And I was asking you that, maybe I formulated it wrongly, but I was asking you how you hold the hand of your custom customer, who wants something custom, and you as the maker have like so many options that you can offer them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like different handle materials, bolster shapes, finishes, materials, whatever. How do you present these options for the client so he is not overwhelmed, yet chooses something that he will be happy with it?
Yeah, so
I can answer that. Can I answer that for you?
Yeah, totally.
He puts it in a newsletter, and this is what you get. If you want it, you buy it now.
It's the
that's
half
not
of
his bad. You can buy another one.
No.
You can buy another one later.
No, you can go fuck yourself.
Fuck. I'm not that big of an asshole. What are you thinking of me?
But am I wrong?
No, no. For my custom work, definitely. I talk to my customers, but I will tell you, I expect my customers to somewhat know what they are looking for. So I'm thinking, if I'm always mirroring myself into the customer, in a sense that if I would be interested in my knives, I would have a clear picture in my head what I want, and then I ask them to send me either pictures or describe or name whatever they want to me, and we will figure it out. You can't always provide what they want, especially in regards to handle materials, because sometimes they see some exotic curly wood I just don't have right now, but then I present them alternatives. But mostly it works through, I ask them for blade length and profile, finish, and for all the other things other than the measurements of the blade itself, they will typically send me pictures of things they like, and then we will figure it out along the way. But it's very communication intensive. It's a few emails back and forth. So that's the downside of that system. On the other hand, the upside is that I feel like stay relevant in a way, because I don't know.
You make the personal connection with your customer, and they feel like they know you, and then they make the choices with you. Is that what you mean?
I hate you. No, I don't mean that.
Got him.
I make no personal connection. I don't tell them about how my shit was today.
Or your little lasagna. But I kind of feel like it is beautifully connecting with what you said earlier, with the importance of having a consistent look, not trying to play with the style. And even the custom customer has a clear image in his imagination when he thinks about what is a Kamon knife. And if I want a knife with these materials in this size and this blade profile, he can then imagine, he can see how it will look in your style, because he's so familiar with your style, because you don't change up the style. So this kind of makes the communication way clearer. And I totally agree that the worst thing that could do a small business, a small knife maker, is to try and change up, not have a coherent style, which is super hard to have, but it's super important. Because if you do everything, you do nothing.
Yeah. Albert?
I was reading up on One Piece flow.
I convert.
No, but the way you described this is not what
it's not
says on
textbook.
Wikipedia.
Oh, go read your books.
It's not textbook, no. I mean, I think all of us are working in this One Piece flow concept, right?
In some sort,
at some point, yeah.
But because what it just means is that every employee, so that's just us, can do all the steps of a production process and does all the steps of a production process. That's what we do. I mean, and it has nothing to do with that you build one piece at a time.
You just read one paragraph and you are trying to explain it to fucking me. Look, listen.
No, that's a Wikipedia article, man.
Yeah, sure. It is described in a big manufacturing environment, and it can also be applicable to one person workshop too. So
yeah, that's what I meant. I mean, that's what we all do. We all work within this One Piece flow concept. Even Ben, even if he does like 50 knives at a time. So, I mean, that's just the textbook definition of what this means. So, if you have a different definition, then go ahead. But that's, I mean, and
I give up. I don't care. Really.
I can attest that Paulie doesn't give up easily. We talk a lot in the DMs, and I give up is something. I mean, you got him, Albert.
Nope. But look, here's where this concept comes from, right? It comes from big production systems. Like the example is Toyota here.
Of course.
So usually there is like 1,000 workers. Every worker has his or her position and station, and he or she just does this one step, right? But that's not how we work, right? I mean, we're not part of a big production process. So
yeah, why not? Like you are working. You do multiple steps of a huge production, and you are also have Andy, where you are 2 workers working.
What if I told you that I was schizophrenic, changing character when I make my handles and grind my blades? So one time I'm Franz and the other time I'm Herbert. Is that? I mean, then it's.
I would say it has nothing to do with manufacturing technologies, and you should go visit a specialist.
No, I mean, I'm a different person. You see what I'm saying?
Of course. Yeah.
Franz is only making handles in my company.
You need to register a new employee for your business.
I don't tell them.
But yeah, Albert, you are correct in a sense, but you should look at not like how the materials and the orders are processed through the whole workshop and how they are being fulfilled and manufactured, and how there is, would you say there is a difference where you have, like in my case, finished stocks in different stages, and where you start a knife from start to finish when you get the order?
Yes, there's a difference.
Yes.
I agree.
So in one case, you are doing something from start to the finish, and the other, you are I want to say you are pulling the order through the workshop, but from the from the other end. But hear me out. Just because you are taking the almost finished materials, assembling the knife and fulfilling the order and sending it out, and then these then you can see like the quantities of your almost finished stock are depleted. This requires for you to process the to make more of them, so it's going from the other way around, and the way you approach it is way different, and the way you make it is different, because the materials in half finished steps are flowing through your shop, but also your definition is correct, but it's just a different environment.
I mean, they list a number of advantages this one-piece flow method has. I get that it's somewhat applicable to us, even if we're just 1 or 2 person companies. Like, you're very flexible when it comes to new variations of your product, if you do it like the one-piece flow thing, right?
Yes, that is what I try to do.
Yeah, that's one advantage. I mean, of course, if you build like 100 knives at a time, big batches, then you're not as flexible when it with regard to new variations, because you have to still first finish the 100 knives, right? That's right. Yeah, and do you have short delivery times? That you mentioned that already, but you have to keep less stock or material in stock, right? If you do this one-piece flow thing, so it has a number of advantages. I get your point. It has a number of advantages that also apply to us, right? Yeah. So I think that's what you meant.
Yes,
right?
And I would say even low stock is an advantage in a sense that it is less invested money, and also it's a smaller buffer, which means you have to do the same things. You know how to make more of that stock more often, because it's depleting quicker, right? And this will make you repeat the same process over and over, which will then show you how you can change the process to make it more efficient, right? Because you will find, or you will just make it more efficient because you find it's a hard setup of a machine or whatever, you will find a way to make it faster. And after you made those efficiency gains, it is quite normal to have a period with a little bit higher stock, just to be, to like I am doing now. The model that I am making the most is the model that I've run for over a year, and I have ironed out a lot of small details in the processes, and now I can easily say I won't I will jinx myself. I won't fuck up badly in the full batch.
Done. Fuck up.
Listen, you guys are missing the whole entire point and the reason why Toyota even started this whole freaking thing in the beginning. So you're talking about like huge production runs of cars, assembling cars together. And back in those days, each car company had people on an assembly line that did one process, and that's all they knew. One guy put a couple of screws in a carburetor, and he knew nothing else about the rest of the car. And the other guy put the tires on the car. The reason for that whole process is so that each person in the production assembly line from a Toyota car would know from start to finish the quality of that they were expected to have in their cars. And each one of those people at any point in time could stop the production of the Toyota car, and say, this is a problem. We can't put out 100 cars and have them recalled after they're out on the street. It's not about efficiency. It's about keeping the quality control of the car up. It's not anything about what you guys are talking about. That's the reason why Toyota. Huh?
that is efficiency.
Yeah, but in the context of having many employees is what Keith is saying, I think.
Yes, each employee knows everything from start to finish about how the car is run and put together in order to keep that car to a certain level of standard for when it goes out into the street, that you have a quality car. The reason why Toyota has the name that they have super efficient cars that run forever problem-free is because of that model, not because it makes them more efficient to pack out 100 boxes a day and then get more product out. It's about the quality control.
Not only. You only read the one paragraph also. Look, everyone now is an expert.
I didn't read anything. I listened to your bullshit and I told you the reason why.
No, I mean, it's not just this. That's not the only reason. Motivation is higher of the workers
exactly.
and stuff, right? So that's also
you don't want to hang yourself after you've been putting 2 screws in the car for the last 30 years.
Exactly.
But that was kind of my point, that this concept stems or comes from a large production run, right, or a big company, and of course it applies to us as well. But we are just
it's uncomparable because you have to do everything yourself anyway.
Yeah, that's what I meant. It is even applicable, but that it applies to us. It's kind of trivial, right? So that's what I meant, because we are this one man or 2 man shows, right? So,
but if you want to scale it,
that it applies to us.
If you want to scale it, you have to have processes, SOPs, and QA processes.
Yeah, I mean, you want to scale it, and I think your business would be scalable, but I don't know that Albert's and Andy's business or mine would be scalable. Keith's would be too.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I agree. But you can use like some processes of the lean methodology.
No,
the Toyota production system, like inventory, like Kanban, is like brilliant. It makes your life easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
If you know that stuff. We've talked about that in the DMs, but I think if you have to consider, that stuff and you're educated around this, but you have to take into consideration that it's a lot of work to get into those kind of things for people like me. But what is more interesting to me is that you think keeping stock is a bad idea. I've heard relatively recently. Alan Elishewitz, he's a great folder maker, making knives, I think, since 20 years. And he said that, what kind of shocked me, because I heard it from him first, that he doesn't keep a lot of stock, neither steel nor handle materials. And I forgot his reasoning behind it, but it was, I think, during the pandemic. And it made no sense at all, because everything rose in costs. The steel I've bought years ago has better interest rates than a good ETF for.
That's an extreme case, though. That just fell into your lap. You didn't do that on purpose.
That doesn't fucking matter. My grinding belts have the same interest rate. It does outcompete every ETF.
It applies to all of the stuff we buy. Yeah. Even handle material,
so
everything.
Keeping stock.
But before the pandemic, that wasn't true. But before the pandemic, you ordered what you needed for the next day. Everybody did that.
No, I never did that.
Costs didn't really change.
I never did that. Handle material, everything that doesn't get bad or become bad, or you know what I'm saying? Grinding belts, steel, handle materials. I have everything in stock. To me, it's mostly a thing of redundancy and safety. But in addition to that, I think it saves you money also.
Benjamin.
But again, that's not really comparable to this concept, or this concept is not really applicable here, because where it comes from is like large companies and factories and everything. So their stuff needs tons of space.
Yeah.
But I think that's one case where it's not applicable to us then.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
I want to look. First of all, great example, very good insight, and it was kinda applicable to Toyota, but the benefit for them was because they have an insane amount of cash in the bank. Like no other automobile company has so much cash in the bank, and it allows them. It's just because their production is so efficient, they can allow themselves to have this to be like very concise and to create this financial pillow for themselves. But yes, COVID created a lot of hardships and hard times for super lean manufacturing companies because they don't hold stock. But I just, just to go to the very start where you started off, saying that I am against holding stock, and maybe you could clarify what you mean by that.
I think you said it, didn't you?
Yes, but it depends what you call stock. Having steel that is not manufactured in any shapes or sizes of knives, no work is put in, just capital. I'm not against that. I'm against doing very, very large runs of water jet or laser cutting of a model to have like 500 pieces of one knife that is
you
fixed.
Can't tweak and upgrade it as you go.
Exactly. Thank you for saving so much time.
You're welcome.
Went on a huge rant, but yeah, you cannot change it, and that locks you in.
Yeah, that I'm with
against
you.
that.
Want to stay flexible, but I mean, you will then you're a fan of keeping stock in the sense that G10, for example, that you completely work yourself.
Yes, in some kind, like for G10, I have custom, never enough, but like default sizes, which also when the Ultim will arrive, I want my Ultim.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it. You are been saying this for like 2 months now.
It'll be here next week.
Hell yeah. So yeah, I have like specific size of doublons, which I know the dimensions of that, and I can create my fixturing for handle machining according to that size, and now everything is standardized, which is great.
Yeah, but you keep stock
time
of that or not?
Yeah.
Perfect. Then you're reasonable. I accept that answer.
A little. Yeah, but and you can, while having the Kanban system, the inventory system, you can play with how much in stock you actually have, and by trying to lower the stock, then you repeat the same processes and find some faults in your process that you can make more efficient. And Albert had such a good point that it allows you not to go insane, where you don't have to screw the same 2 screws every day, where you can actually change the process, make it more efficient. And in the end, me or my workers, let's say, they are not actually making the knives. They are creating and incrementally improving the process of making knives, which is way more interesting than creating the knife itself.
I don't know if I understand that right, but
I would say that I think you have enough work to keep yourself busy. Obviously, you've been full time now, but I think you're not at like the stage or the level maybe that like me or Albert would be, where we have so many different things going on all at once that's impossible to sit down all day at the computer and analyze and figure all that shit out. Or maybe we just have different brains. We go in like 50 different directions at the same time and have 20 projects going on, and you're always running back and forth trying to catch up and finish one, or trying to figure out where to put your time. That's terrible. but that's how we work, and we get shit done, and a lot of shit actually. And it works for us.
I'm like that, but I am also super lazy. And while I'm doing something, and I feel like if there is at least a little bit of feeling that I don't want to do it, I instantly ask myself, why?
Nice. Laziness is underrated.
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I just don't do it. And then I just go on to something else that's more interesting and come back to it.
But you have to do it. You have to finish. Like, why I don't want to grind 5 knives? Why? What is stopping me? Because I have to adjust something, to double check something, or I'm afraid I will make a mistake. Maybe you need to ask why yourself, and you will find wonderful problems.
I stopped asking these questions.
Exactly.
I gave up. I just do it.
It takes too much energy.
Yeah.
But this is what I love. I love to go into processes and to try and make it efficient. Maybe I even love to remove processes. Like, this is the most efficient process, is the one that you remove. Why should you do something like that? Why I should tumble the knives now? Why do they have a burr or whatever? And try and find the most efficient way, which allows me to deliver the most value for the customer for the biggest amount that I can charge to give me the best margin, and everybody is happy.
And it's an investment into the future.
Exactly.
No, I
Profit
that,
first.
Yeah. It's true.
But I constantly think about it. Yeah.
Nice.
Such a boring show. Jesus Christ.
Albert, how much time do you spend on that kind of stuff? Analyzing, figuring out your next move.
0.
Why?
Because I know
fun?
what I have to do. No, I mean we have our processes pretty much dialed in, and everyone knows what he has to do, right? So, and then we just do it. But I get Mr. Baltic's
of course,
point,
but I just
right?
don't operate that way. I can't.
It's certainly interesting to think about these things, and although it's a very abstract concept, there might be some good ideas in there that you can apply to your own business. But I think, I mean, as we've just talked about, I mean, most of the stuff we think about anyway, like keeping material in stock because it's getting more expensive every year, right? So staying flexible when it comes to new knives. I mean, none of us builds like 1,000 knives, right? So even if we do like 10 or 20, I mean, we can finish 10 or 20 knives, and then we can think about new versions or new variants, right? So that's what I meant. It might be not that applicable to us because we are operating on in a different kind of business, right?
Especially if you are running classes. Like it really depends on, what is your end goal? You have to have that answer. If you are like your business where you hand grind every knife, you have this super personal connection with let's say a super prestige one-off client. This is a totally different ballpark where I am. And when I grind a knife, I think about how can make it as easy as possible so I can teach anybody. Or if not, maybe I can automate it.
When do you plan to get employees? Because I mean, it sounds like you're planning to eventually have some, but do you have concrete plans or?
No. I think I want to run as a one-man band as long as possible, because as far as then the dynamic of the job totally changes, but I feel like it is inevitable, but it's super hard to predict.
Is it inevitable inevitable because you want it to be, or is it really, I mean, an objective?
Yeah, I want it.
Okay.
I want it. I want first to dial the process so much to see how much I can run and do by myself.
Yeah.
And to get there, there needs to be overwhelming demand. And now I am still, sometimes it's harder, but I'm on track with meeting the demand and also allocating time to developing new products so I can generate more interest in what I do, so it's just like this growth phase, and it's not like I am trying to pre-invest and I am strictly thinking about what an employee, how I would teach him. My SOPs are written in a way that I will understand. They are not perfect, but mainly I do it because I love it.
SOP is son of a bitch, or?
No, it's like a standard operating procedure where you have a document where it describes how you do something, like how you grind a bevel, and it can be just a progression of belts.
I call those recipes.
What belts I use?
But I have got the same.
Yeah. But you have to have it, because I hate to think about the same issue 2 times,
Yeah.
I like to make things efficient.
Some people, I mean, I'm not one of them, but some people just have good memory. I mean, they don't. I know some people, they wouldn't ever write something like that down. They memorize it. But I'm like you. I have to write it down, because otherwise I will be angry at myself that I didn't write it down and forget it.
Like, how much time I spent searching for stuff to buy, like from where I buy my latex gloves, that I use in my workshop. I have a note
that
I just
specify that. Do you have other latex gloves that you use elsewhere?
I go go into my invoices. Don't you search your invoices? Like I go into my invoices, search Google Drive, and search for latex gloves, for example, and it will show me usually.
I made it way easier. Where my gloves, where I have my storage for my gloves, there are a few packets of it. When there is the last one, there is a code that I can scan it, and it automatically
on the last
creates.
glove in the box.
Yeah. But settle down, cowboy. You didn't make anything easier because if someone asks you what electrical motor you bought for your machine 3 years ago, then you still have to search your invoices. So my system is superior, bitch.
Exactly.
But how is this?
You
it's
put
the
in 10
foundation.
years of work for employees that you don't even want to hire.
No, but honestly,
it's for myself.
The note is nice
I
and
hate
all.
searching my email.
What do you do when the supplier doesn't? Because I often have that. I bought something like a half a year ago, and all of a sudden it's just not available. Then you go on the hunt again, or.
Oh, that's pretty simple. If there is something that I buy so rarely because I use it so rarely, I don't put it into the system, at all.
Okay.
Because it's whatever. It's not. Look, why are you so black and white instantly? It's a range.
No.
I just try and make it more efficient in a way which makes sense. Like the belts.
It's all good.
What belts I do?
I just run into the problem, especially with my gloves. I bought them in bulk. I think I bought 20. Wait, let me calculate. 100 pieces a package, 20 packages, like 2,000 gloves. And next time I will buy them, I'm sure the supplier I bought them first at won't have them anymore.
I don't. Look, this is excess inventory. I try to buy a reasonable amount, which is like, I don't know, 5 boxes. Don't remember how much is in one box. And I search for the best price. And when I found it, I just put in my ticket, the link, and I just don't worry about it. Don't worry. Maybe there is someone offering like 30 cents less, but who cares? It's the convenience of the thing.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, you save time at least searching, so you have to counterweigh that in a sense. Or balance.
I put them all into folders right from my browser where I order my shit from, and when I have a good connection with a supplier where I feel like I know the person that's selling me all that stuff, and they always they always like are on time and they answer your emails, and when you have a problem they're there for you immediately. Those are the people that I continue to go to. I don't care if it's 30 cents or €2 more. I'm going to continue to
that's old school.
A relationship with that supplier. That's one hand washes the other, and that's how it works.
This is how good business is made. Like,
it's
just makes sense, Like me working with my distributors, you want to work with the distributors that you like, that are good clients of yours, that you can take care of, and they can take care of you, So it just makes sense. Whoa.
Who was that?
Who was that?
Keith.
Yeah, sure.
Opening a beer 2 hours in. Nice.
God damn it. I want one.
Yeah,
no.
I ran out of beer. So.
We never run out of beer at our shop.
Do you have a fridge?
You know why?
Careful planning, right?
You know why?
Careful planning.
No, not careful planning. I'm being serious now, right? But there's a beer truck that comes to our shop every Friday.
What?
They call us Thursday afternoon. They ask us what we need, and they deliver it Friday morning.
Top quality customer service.
That's
I applaud it.
Every week.
But you have a contract with them, or is it unsolicited? I mean,
no.
Okay.
No, we have a contract with them, but it's cheaper. It's even cheaper that way than to buy it in a
totally.
Does it count as a business expense?
For sure.
Yes. If you're running classes, it does for sure.
Yeah, we need it for our students.
Yeah. Beer, coffee, all sugar, milk, everything. All that
it's
stuff.
It's good for joints.
Everything.
Joints, yeah.
Good luck. Risky business, but
No, for the body joints. Like it's good for joints.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
Well, I don't want to cut it off short here after 2 hours, but what do you guys think?
quite a show, and we didn't even get into tariffs or anything political, so that's impressive. 2 hours without that.
That's a shit
No,
show.
don't talk
It's
about
a
it.
shame.
That's for another show.
But
Keep it for next week.
Did you saw my story? I posted what I should make from a small piece of G10, and I got the worst suggestions from all of the knife makers. It was all profanity. It was, make a ring for that, make a plug for that. You can shove it up your that. It's like nothing useful.
What did you make it with it eventually?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing
but then
yet.
a butt plug would be more sensible than nothing.
The closest thing that was logical was a domino, but who plays dominoes?
Yep. But one piece.
He's still working out the spreadsheets. That'll take another 6 months.
We still have to cover the KPIs, to be on track with providing most value for the customer. And who is DRIing this topic? I will tell you the next week.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's a show.
Yep. That's quite enough, I would say.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, Kamon. You've been on here so often. I don't know if you have any new stuff you want to share with us, but here's your time. You got any new projects? You got like charity things you're working on? Anything you want to let us know?
I'll be at Knife Show Austria, hopefully.
May 10th, 11th.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring your mama. She comes in for free.
Yes. For me, or what? What did you say?
Bring your mama. I said it's Mother's Day.
Yeah.
She comes for free.
I understood something different.
Okay.
Come on, they're still thinking about Monkey's Flow.
Dirty motherfucker.
No, nothing to
all right, then.
say. So, thanks. Thanks for having me,
thanks,
guys.
Thanks for joining us again. I'm sure we'll have you on again. And we'll talk to the rest of you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Jesus Christ, a bunch of amateurs.